Good afternoon. This is Joe Forward, legal writer for the State Bar of Wisconsin. And today I'm here with Chris Shattuck. He is the Law Practice Assistance Manager for the Practice 411 program at the State Bar of Wisconsin. And at the upcoming annual meeting and conference, which is June 10th and 11th this year, it's a virtual conference. Chris is going to be on a panel discussing data breaches and the ethics of data breaches and what law firms need to be thinking about, planning for, and what to do if a data breach occurs. And today I wanted to just check in with Chris to see what that program will be all about and to get a little insight from Chris. Chris, how you doing today?
Good, Joe. Thanks for setting up this interview. I appreciate it.
So, Chris, I know you're going to be talking at length in a session at the upcoming annual meeting and conference. I know you'll be on that panel with Ethics Counsel from the State Bar. But just to give us an idea of what that's going to be about, tell us a little bit about what data breaches are out there now. I know it changes constantly. What should law firms be looking for in terms of data scams, data breach scams that are out there now?
I've been seeing a increase in the amount of social media account compromises. So folks, their Facebook account is compromised or their Twitter account has been compromised. And typically these accounts are compromised because hackers are using usernames and passwords that were leaked in a public data breach and running those through to see if the accounts that were breached in another site will work for a different site. Or another way that this happens is if someone else's account is compromised and they post a link to something and then another user clicks on that link, their account might be compromised. Outside of the recent uptick in that, the common ones that are out there that are always prevalent are email account compromises. So a lot of times lawyers might not realize that they've been breached. They'll click on a link. It's very similar to social media compromises. They'll either click on a link or their username and password is compromised. And then their account begins to send out emails to everyone in the person's inbox that, hey, my account has been compromised. Ransomware is ever prevalent and it is a booming business for the cyber thieves. Instead of your email account sending out a bunch of emails to folks to say, hey, click on this link or take some other action, the ransomware will actually encrypt your firm's files, and the cyber thieves will demand payment to either uncrypt that data or if they don't get what they want, then they'll start releasing the data publicly to put pressure on the law firm to pay the ransom. So that's very scary. I think you saw that recently. There was an ABA article about I believe it was the Illinois State Attorney General's office where that is happening as well. Another thing to be aware of are fake clients. So this is a quick cash grab where someone pretending to be a new client contacts a lawyer regarding obtaining their services for collecting a debt on a contingent fee basis. Lawyer agrees, contacts another person pretending to be the fake debtor who agrees to pay immediately. Lawyer receives a check, and then client demands that the lawyer keep their contingent fee but immediately return the proceeds of the collection to the client. If lawyers don't wait for those funds to clear, then that can lead to a loss of trust account funds.
Okay. There's a lot. So there's a lot going on. How do attorneys, law firms, especially solo and small firm law firms, how do they minimize the risk that some of these things can happen?
Sure. So for social media accounts, folks should enable two-factor authentication. Those are built within those platforms. Those are free to enable. And they want to make sure that they are using different passwords for all of their accounts. So if you're using the same password and email address for one account and it gets breached and you use the same password and email for all the other accounts, then in theory, all of your other accounts have been breached because the hackers will have access to that information and can try it out in different platforms. So you can actually check to see if your email account has been subject to a public data breach. There's a website to do this for free. It's haveibeenpwned.com. You go to that website, you type in your email address, you're not agreeing to anything, you're not signing up for anything. It'll search your email against a public data breach and let you know if your email account has been compromised in a public data breach. So for email accounts and ransomware, with those types of vulnerabilities, so Again, you can check your email account to see your work email account with that website. Additionally, you want to make sure that you have hardware and software updates. So like folks, if they're still using Windows 7, which isn't supported anymore, hackers can easily hack that now because there's no updates or patches that are being applied to those programs. And then firms want to make sure that they're utilizing strong security protocols and encryption protocols. And the biggest challenge here is that even if you have the most sophisticated systems in the world for your law firm, if you have a employee who clicks on a link or downloads something they shouldn't download or install something they shouldn't install, that can bypass all those security protocols. So you really want to test your staff on how to spot those types of phishing or suspicious links. There is a free way to do that. There's a website that Google partnered with one of its subsidiaries. It's called phishing quiz, one word, dot with Google, one word, .com. And if you go to that website, again, it's free. You're not signing up for anything. You type in a name and an email address. It can be yours. It can be a fake one. And then it'll walk you through some steps to help you identify whether an account is real or not. And then finally, for fake clients, I would recommend checking out the resources. I wrote an article called Scams Are Gaining in Sophistication. Are you protected? And the OLR also publishes guidance on scams targeting lawyers and trust accounts. But some quick tips for that are to hold on to those deposits until the funds have cleared, explain to clients the trust account funds will not be dispersed until cleared, and then, verifying the accuracy of, contact information and, doing a little bit of due diligence. Some law firms that are able to thwart these attacks are like, I actually just picked up the phone and called this person and they said, yes, a lot of people from across the country have been calling us. We're not entering into some sort of big oil and gas lease for multi-million dollars. We're a local gas station, right? That was one example. And then finally, you want to make sure your firm has adequate safeguards to detect and prevent wire fraud.
Okay. And yeah, I know the panel will get into more of the ethical rules that apply to some of these things. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that, but just briefly, there are Supreme Court rules that apply if there is an actual data breach and what attorneys and guide what attorneys need to do under those rules, correct?
That's correct. Yes, a great ethics opinion to take a look at this is Wisconsin Ethics Opinion EF-15-01. And a quote just from that opinion discusses that if there has been a breach of the provider's security that affects confidentiality, the rules require the lawyer to inform the client of the breach. And although the opinion did not go into a discussion of the state substantive law, which is WISStat 134.98, that statute is an independent basis for that may require an attorney to inform a client of a data breach. So the presentation is really helpful as I just spent a lot of time going over some of the practical considerations. The ethics and data breaches presentation is more geared towards here are what the ethical rules are. Here are some, practical tips along the way, but really making sure that attorneys understand what their obligations are under the rules to safeguard and protect client data, and then how to respond and notify a client if there is a data breach.
Okay. And then throughout the year and until the program at the annual meeting and conference, members of the State Bar of Wisconsin can always contact you at the Practice 411 program. Can you tell them how to do that?
Sure. Yeah. The best way to contact my program is our 1-800 number, which is 800-957-4670. If there has been a data breach that, that a firm identifies, I always recommend contacting their local IT company. And if they don't have one, engaging one immediately to stop the breach, identify what data has been taken, and then contacting their insurance companies, and then contacting the State Bar, contacting my program, contacting the ethics council, and then we can kind of walk through what needs to be done to address the data breach.
Great. Chris Shattuck, he's the Law Practice Assistance Manager for the Practice 411 program at the State Bar of Wisconsin. He'll be at a session on data breaches and ethics at the annual meeting and conference June 10th and 11th. It's a virtual conference this year. Chris, thanks so much for speaking with us today, and we'll see you at the conference.
Yes, Joe. Thank you. See you there.